Hi everyone, so in this video what we're going to be looking at is how we can record audio into the Digitakt. We're going to have a look at the bass line, we're going to have a look at melodic stuff, and also how we can make a chord or a stab within the Digitakt itself. So the first thing we'll do is record audio into our Digitakt to get a waveform. So this little device here is called the Chord oscilloscope. It's a really good small portable tool which allows you to do an array of things. So if I click on this wave here, we've got the scope. We can create a waveform. It's got FFT. It's also got a tuner, and then just settings. So FFT, that is where you can actually see your what frequencies the sample is coming in. The scope allows you to view obviously the incoming signal, and then what we'll be using today is the wave and the tuner. So the wave has two different settings. It has an output 1 and an output 2. You can control this by basically going into these two categories here. You've got a category and then you've got the edit of the category. So for example, the category is going to be an oscillator, which is going to oscillate. You can also have it as an LFO or noise, or you can have it as a pulse or an envelope. But I'm going to use this as an oscillator. It's good as well to get noise off it because you can make hats and stuff with that. So we'll do that as well actually. But for now, if I just click on the oscillator, I've got this plugged into that device that I've just shown you. And it's set to mono. So on the Digitakt, if I go to my samples page, you'll notice that I've got a tiny bit of noise coming in, which is healthy. If I press start now on this, what it will do is it will output 1, but it'll do it in mono. So it'll go on the left and right speaker, but it'll be in mono. So if I just press start now, you can hear that. If I were to do this the other way, if I were just to plug it in, there is other ways around you could do it. You could get an adapter that would do it. But if I just turn the mono switch off and now do it, you'll notice that it's just on the left-hand side, as you can see there in the picture. So all I've done is I've just summed the left side to the right side and sandwiched them both together to make a mono signal, which gives us this. So that's what we want. The other thing that I will say is that with this we can create the volume. So this means that it's 2 volts peak to peak. So if I just click on this and I lower the volume, you'll see that the level comes down. Whereas if I go up, we've obviously got more volume there. I'll leave it about 3 volts peak to peak. The next one, I'm just going to do a one shot because I want to show you how we can utilize the loop function within our sample. So one shot means that it will play through the start to the finish and that's it, it'll stop. So that's what we want. And then we can then choose basically what waveform and the shape of the waveform that we want. The pitch as well, I'm going to leave at 130 because 130 is the note of C, which is what I want to bring it in at. The wave that I've selected is a sine wave, but I'm going to change that in a sec. And what else I'm going to do now, just so that I can hear the shape of the sound, is just turn it to push. So push means when I press this on, it'll play. When I take it off, it'll basically stop playing. So I'm just going to play about with these settings on here. So I think I want a square wave. That's a pure square wave. So I'm going to record it now. So what I'm going to do is go back to my Digitakt. I'm going to set the time to the maximum so it doesn't give me a time limit to what I need to do it as. I'm going to arm it and then I'm going to play it and then play it again. So I'm going to activate it the first time. and then I'll play it again, and then that's the sample I'm going to use. The reason why I do that is because when I press start, I might lose a bit of the waveform at the start because it's not hit that threshold. So I'll do it again, and then I can use that second part. So if I just start it now, turn that off to threshold, press stop. I will then zoom this in as close as I can to the waveform, and then I will zoom right in on that waveform. So if I just go back a bit and then back again, zoom in again, I'll say there, and then exactly the same here, I will go there. So if I'm happy with that now, which I am, that's my waveform, apart from that first bit here, I'll say there. So I'm happy with that. If I press yes, I'm just going to rename this as waveform, and then space. Save that, and I'm going to assign this to one of my bass patches now. So I'm going to assign that to number 10, I think. So now that's done, that's saved there. What we can do is eradicate that. So now we have got that here. So with that, what we can do is go into the play mode, and then we could use the play mode as forward loop. So what this will do is it'll just play continuously. And because we have used the pitch of 130 Hertz, that means that this has calculated the length of the overall waveform, the oscillation, to be at a C3 value. We can double check that if I just get another lead. So I've just set up another output from my headphones, and I have taken that into an input in the oscilloscope. So what I'm going to do now is, just to double check that we are getting roughly about a C value, is go onto the tuner tab, press this, and this should then, for the input left, it should give us a tunage. I will tune that to 440 Hertz, and then we'll see what we get. So we are bang on the C value minus just a little bit. So if I wanted to, I could then tune this to whatever. And you can see the actual waveform changing to accommodate that. But I'm going to keep it at C3 on that note. I do want this as a bass note actually, so I'm going to go down to -12. And you'll see that now we've got a nice fat low end. We can then, because it's in a C value, and I'm going to be working in C mainly, I'm going to pick I'll pick minor for example. I use my keyboard, and now I can play that sample on my keyboard rollout. And if I wanted to come down an octave on the keyboard, I press the keyboard button and then the down button, and now I'm playing at a lower octave. So now that's -2 octaves. So if I go back to my source, and so now I know that this is C3. I'm playing 2 octaves below what I recorded it in as, and I know that that is C3 because of this tuner. Don't go that low, but this tuner, if this had something like that, just some, even in like one of these squares here, if it were in like it is now, a monophonic sort of situation, it would give you that. It would give you basically the note of what you're playing it, and you could tune it from there. So that's how we record audio in, get it into our sequencer, and get it as a tone basically. We could, if we go into this, we could then go up an octave. And we could use that as maybe a lead line or something. So then if we added a chorus, bit of reverb, or if we wanted to use it as a bass line, that was quite nice. Which is, it's basically, you can do what you want to do with it basically. So that's how we record audio in. We can then further shape the sound to what we like to do it. But that's how we get basically a waveform, a one-shot waveform. And the beauty about doing a one-shot waveform is it keeps your file size down. So instead of me recording in, for example, like this, to be like a continuous thing like that, I've saved up a good 90% of that, 99% of that, because I only need one little snippet, which saves on basically it saves upon space within your unit, and that is the positive from that. Plus you can do all sorts. You can add LFOs to it, the filters, for example. This, for example. I like the low pass forward and bass. But yeah, you can do whatever with that. So that is basically your how to record in a waveform and utilize that in loop mode, and then you're just using that waveform to create a tone. It saves on space. I know you've got 20 gigabyte of this, but on the Digitakt, let's say, on the first one, if you were to utilize this exact same method, you'd save up loads of space if you'd had loads of waveforms. So if I were to record another one in, I could basically do the exact same, but let's say I wanted to try. Let's just go back to this to push. That's a more softer, whether that's harsh. Or you can have a nice sort of saw risen. We could go down to the shape. And let's see how that sounds. So if I go back onto my my recorder page, checking that I'm getting the levels, I'll arm it, and then I'll go back onto One-Shot. So then I'll press play, and then I'll do it again, exactly the same process. And then I'll assign that to track 9 now, let's say. So that's done. I can come out of that, delete that, and then if I click on track 9, we can hear what that sounds like. That's what it sounds like. We can then change the play mode to loop. And then we can shape that sound. Let's say we just want to leave it like that. We can leave it like that and do whatever. We can go probably up an octave. Bit of chorus. Portamento, we could add that onto it. Portamento, so this is the gliding between notes. that if I wanted to. Reverb, delay, bitrate reduction. This is one thing I do want to show you actually. We'll go back to track 10. So this now, so if you add bitrate reduction to a bass note, it sounds really good. So if I just do this. Bad example, bad example. So if I just bring that down back to its normal octave and I add bitrate reduction to this, we can get more waveforms out of that waveform because it's changing the timbre of the sound. And if we really lower it down from that to that, sounds really good. And then add a bit of chorus. Sample rate reduction. Even the portamento. Even if you don't have this device or a device similar to this that generates waveforms, you could basically make a sample on your computer that would do that for you and then load it in to this via Elektron transfer. Or you could just pick, let's say, a sample like this, and let's say if you looped it like really tightly, put a loop on. You could then lower that in pitch and get a totally different sound out of it. Go on to this. And then you've got a completely new sound, and that comes from a shaker. And that way, you know, you can create all these possibilities that adds a bit of ear candy here and there. You can re-record that in and add it as an effect, and then you could put that onto your effects track as maybe number 3, and then another sound that you've made, you can put that as number 7, and whatever you want. So you've got all these sounds firing off that just add that ear candy to basically your mix. So next up, we're going to look at how we can make a chord within the Digitakt. So we're going to need more than one audio track to do this. So this is the thing which would be good if we could have basically a track that would allow us to utilize some of these extra tracks that we've got and make it basically a polyphonic device. So for example, if I'm on 10 and we went into the keyboard section, I could then borrow maybe 4 or 5 tracks to make up a 6 voice chord, and I wouldn't be allowed to use this until I turned that off basically. But this is the long way around it. So if I'm just select track 10, what I'm going to do is copy my machine, go on to 15 and then paste. So I've got the exact same sound on 15, and then I'm going to do the same on 16. So these are all the same. And then what I'm going to do then is go to my keyboard layout, and then I'm going to select, obviously the key that I'm in is C minor. So from this, I just want to make a chord up. So what we do is we play one, we miss one, we play one, we miss one, we play one. So I need C, D sharp, and then G. So on this one, I will go into my step sequencer, click on number 5. So that's going to be my C, that's going to be my root. If I go into track 15, do the exact same, but on this one, I'm going to pitch it up to D sharp. And then on track 16, I will do the exact same and go to G. So if I turn on 15, So if I turn on 15, 16 and 10, we should get a chord, which we do because they're all playing at the same time to the pitch that we've allowed it to. The reason why it's doing that is because we have to set this value to what it is. So if we were to play it in manually and do it manually, that's his root note. This one wants to be D, and then this one wants to be G. So that's its root note. And then we've got a chord. So you could technically make a chord by basically doing that over 6 tracks if you wanted 6 voices. But what would be nice if on this track, for example, it would be nice to borrow voices so that you can utilize that and do it on the keyboard. So I can do it like this instead of being set and then you're having to rework it, say it again, rework it. Another thing that is nice within the Digitakt is the ability to, I've set up my sound design now for these 3 notes, so them there, and I want to now basically just add a filter the exact same to each one of these. I can do this either 1-2 ways. The long way around, which would be basically setting this, I could then copy the page, go onto this page, paste, and that would do it that way. And then again on the next one, or I can use this new feature that they've put in. So if I press function and setup and I go on kit, this top one here, it says control or config. So if I click on that, what this does is it basically, the tracks that I've selected will be sent to this track. So for example, if I hold this down and I'm on track 10 and I alter the filter, it will only do it for the selected tracks that I've just selected and not the others. So this, for example, now. And then if I wanted to open it up over time, I could do it like that, do it again, a bit more. And then you're basically reshaping the sound to how you want it to sound. And you can double check that by clicking on these. You'll see that none of that filter settings has been taken over to any of the other tracks. It's just on these. And that is a good feature, speeding up feature. So let's say, for example, I have my drums here. I only wanted to have bit crushing on them drums. I wanted to leave my bass out. So I would click on that menu, click on that. I would select all them, apart from a kick and all the others, and then I would just add a bit of bit crushing or sample rate reduction or whatever you want to do with it. But that is how you do that. And then the other one on there is the compressor routing, which we'll look at. It's basically the same thing. It's just what tracks you want to be sent to the compressor. And then you could use it for like sidechaining and things like that. So with this now, that's nice. So I want some chorus on these tracks. So I'm on track 16. And I'm basically going to shape this sound to how I want it, and then I'm going to re-record it, and then that's going to be basically a chord, just a simple chord that I can play on the actual keyboard itself. I think what I'm going to do is just leave it as dry as what I can get it, and then when I resample that and put that onto a track itself, I could then add effects to what I need to. If I've got the sample and it's clean, I can then re-add to the mix rather than it being set within my recording itself. I can't take away, but I can add. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to record that into here. we want to change a source to our main left and right. So with this one, because I've got that nice attack, I'm going to set that. I'm not going to set it. I'm going to press play, and then that's when I'm going to do it. So I'm going to set that to the R start. I'm going to arm it, make sure that no other track is lit up and selected, and then I'm going to play in my chord after I've pressed play. So I've set the length to 66 just because it gives me that room and not that pressure of, oh, I've got to do it in 16 steps. So I've set it on arm. I'm ready to press play now. So I'm going to press play and then just record it in when I'm ready. I'll tell you what else I'll do as well. I will just add a bit more attack. A bit more actually. And then stop that. So now we've stopped that, we can then trim it to his liking. Go back. Go to there. That's nice. Bit more. And then let's say I'm happy with that. I'm just going to put this as chord. And then I will assign that to, I think, track 11. So I've now got that chord that we created in here. And what I can do from there is shape it even further. So I could then basically use a new filter on it. I could then go into my keyboard mode, use the keyboard fold now. And do whatever it is that we want to do with it. And then even on top of that, we could basically set a loop up with this. So if I just go back to here, then the loop. And you can do all sorts of things from that sample that we've just recorded. We've created a chord within the Digitakt, and we can now utilize that within our project itself. So that is basically how we can record in from an external device into the Digitakt using a one-shot. So keeping your file size down to a minimum, especially if you're on the older Digitakt and you're running out of space, but you have loads of waveforms that you like, you can just use them one-shots to really save up on space. So for one of them short waveforms that you one-shot waveforms, it is 4 kilobytes of data that you need. So you can have a massive amount of waveforms if you wanted to, or you could basically utilize that space that you would be using on something else, like longer clips, drum loops, for example. I think a normal size drum loop is about it's about 300 odd kilobyte. So I've crammed quite a lot of information in there, but useful information that you can use and utilize and try and get the most out of the Digitakt. These chords, you can basically, it doesn't have to be a 1-3-5 chord. You can have up to 8 voices, but you'll have to use 8 tracks. That's why it would be good if this device could basically utilize a different track to do the same thing as what we're doing, just to speed up the workflow, because when you're in that flow state you need to do stuff quickly. So to do that, it is a long way around it. It's a good way around it. I enjoy doing it, because you could basically just copy and paste a track, for example, like this. If I just do that, I wanted to copy this, so I would just go into this and then copy that track, and then I could basically paste that, and then I could basically copy that, paste that, and then I could go back to my note. I know I've got 1, so A sharp 5, let's say. So if I just go back into this and then I go to A sharp or an A sharp, turn off the portamento, but then I'll do that an octave below. Sound right, that. That's why. But the beauty about this, though, doing it this way, is if you wanted that note to be longer, you could basically have that release longer. Obviously I've not set that up the same, so I'll just do that the same now and hold that on for longer. And that's how you can make stabs, basically. So the last thing that I'd like to show you within this video is the Euclidean mode, or the sequencer. So what I'll do is I will use this for a bass line. So I've got my drum set up and I want to use this bass line here. So it's basically that waveform that we used before, and all I've done is just put an envelope on the filter. I'm going to leave it around about there for now. To access this, what I want to do is go and press function, and then on the amp page, which is the sequencer, and turn on the Euclidean mode, which is on. So if I go into the actual step sequencer now, you'll notice that the LED is blue. This means that you're in Euclidean mode or Euclidean mode. So on the screen here we have 8 different parameters. So PL1 is the pulse generator 1. This sets the number of pulses or trigs placed on the sequencer by this generator. The exact same for pulse generator 2. The length, track length, sets how many steps the track will have. But this mode is only available if you're in per track mode. So if we go to our page and then we go per track, go back into that, you'll see that now this is now available for us to use. I'll just turn that back off though for now. This button here turns Euclidean mode on and off. So these 2 buttons here, so R01, so this is the rotation generator for the pulse generator 1. This is the rotation generator for the pulse generator 2. And then the TRO, this is track rotation. So basically if I set up a pattern like that, I could then, because pulse 1 is different to pulse 2, I could move them together rather than an individual pulse. So as you can see, you've got yellow notes, which is pulse 1, which is what you're moving, and you'll notice sometimes they hit on the same note as what pulse 2 is. So they bring us on to this last one, which is the op. So this is the Boolean operator, and it lets you add or subtract the triggers generated from the 2 pulse trigger generators. So in this mode, it's the OR mode. So OR is all triggers from both generators 1 and 2 are placed on the track, which is what they are now. XOR is triggers from both generator 1 and 2 are placed on the track unless they are added to the step sequencer. So as you can see, because 3 overlapped onto 4, when I go XOR, it basically cancelled that step out. Add only triggers added to the step sequencer step by generator 1 and 2 placed on the track. So it basically does the opposite to XOR. And then sub triggers from generator 1 are placed on the track unless generator 2 adds a trigger to the same step as generator 1. So it's basically, you can just play about, see what comes up, but play it at the same time. So if we just play this as it is. So let's say we like that, we like what it's done. If we come out of that, you'll notice that we've not basically saved that sequence into our sequencer. So if we turn it off, we'll notice again we haven't done that. The way that we save that onto our sequencer is use the function button and then turn it off. That way it imprints what we've learned from that, or what we've done in the Euclidean sequencer, and now that is actually in our sequencer itself. So let's say we wanted to mess around with some of these notes. So if we hold down this key and then we go to maybe G, do a G again, another G, and let's say we want to bring the whole mix down an octave, we can just simply go onto our source page, press function, tune, go down an octave, I'd quite like that to be the same as this. So instead of going onto that and onto the page, I'm just going to hold that down, copy that trigger and paste it on that. Add a bit of chorus. And then we've got a nice little bass line using the sequencer that we've just done. The next video that I want to do is just to record myself with no talking, just to make the track what it is. That way it gives me a good foundation, and anything new that I learn, like effects and stuff, I can explain that in the next video, or bring that into the next video and explain it. Plus you can have just watch it through if you're interested, wondering how I got that sound. So I'll put tags on underneath to what I'm doing in process, so then you can just watch it back, and instead of me talking over it, you can just see what I've done and use that for yourself. So I hope that video has been alright for you, and yeah, so I hope this video has been alright. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you're enjoying this series so far, and yeah, I will see you in the next one.